Edea, you're late.
I'm sorry, sir. We were just... Wait. Why am I in trouble?
Miss Edea, forgive me. I did not realize that you were acquainted with my dear Uncle Heinkel and Aunt Kikyo.
Don't worry about it. Just don't tell me about any more of your relatives.
Now then, allow me to bring you up to speed. The victim was one Lord Earl Gulliver, famous around these parts for his considerable wealth. Real well known. He was alone in this room when he was stabbed in the back by an unknown assailant. He appears to have died on the spot. These three here claim to have discovered the body simultaneously. First, we have Lord Gulliver's wife, Madame Golddigger. Next, the current landowner of Starkfort, Mr. Landlesser. And finally, Lord Gulliver's financial advisor, Noah Interest of Eisenbank.
The murderer is within our midst!
Sholmes, get yourself under control, or I'll do it for you.
So sorry, Uncle. I've just always wanted to say that.
So the three of you discovered Lord Gulliver's body simultaneously. Could you tell us the circumstances?
We came to inspect the property. My husband was interested in purchasing it as a vacation home. At first, we toured each floor together. Earl, myself, and these two. Until we reached this top floor, that is. My husband, a military history buff, became so enamored with this room that he showed no sign of leaving.
And so we escorted the madam down to the 5th floor to show her a bit more of the fort.
My word, did you see him? He's like a child in a candy store.
And why shouldn't he be happy? Why, to have such a young and beautiful wife at his age. Lord Gulliver is a lucky man indeed.
Now, if you would allow me, madam, it would be my pleasure to show you the 5th floor.
No, if you don't mind, I'd like to look around on my own a bit.
Of course. As you wish, milady.
The Lord's a real character, isn't he? To think of buying a gloomy fort like this as a vacation home. And his wife. A young woman wanting to be left alone in this kind of place. She's an odd duck herself.
Well, I'll have not a bad word to say about either if they take this place off my hands.
Indeed.
Oh, back so soon, milady?
Yes, I've seen more than enough. Is my husband still upstairs?
Engrossed in the ambiance of the fort, no doubt. What say we go rouse him from his reverie?
And so no one had gone in or out of this room that whole time? If so, that would practically make this a bona fide locked room mystery.
Indeed so. Mr. Lesser and I were standing at the base of these stairs the entire time.
Precisely. And no one went past us to reach the upper floor.
And the murder weapon?
This single-edged dagger here, it was found on the floor beside the victim. It matches up to the stab wound as well.
I've got it! The murderer must have prepared a weapon of solid ice, which he or she then used to deal a blow to Lord Gulliver's head.
Genius, Sholmes! Then the ice would have melted, leaving us with no murder weapon.
The cause of death was clearly the stab wound. I'll thank you not to muddy our investigation with frivolous conjecture, Sholmes.
My dear Whitson, have a look at this rope.
Brilliant, Sholmes. Surely the murderer used this rope to lock off the room after escaping.
That's our rope, you fools! It says YHPD right on it!
Do you see that there? A dying message. The murderer is Whit. Whitson, you couldn't have!
Sholmes, you know I would never.
Just having a laugh at your expense, old chum.
I hate to say it, but aren't those two just getting in the way?
You do well to ignore them. His parents begged me to give him a chance. I suspect it was much the same for you, Kunoichi Kikyo PI.
To think that you became a private investigator. Well, I guess it's no more surprising than Heinkel working for the police. So tell me, how does the Silent Sleuth see this case? As talkative as ever. That's some trick to pull off an investigation without ever opening your mouth.
All we know at present is that the victim was stabbed in the back with no sign of any struggle. We can assume that the murderer was someone close to the late Lord, which rules out Mr. Lesser, as the two had only just met today. However, that fat banker might be a different story. Mr. Entrus is worth looking at, as of course is the young wife. She has the most obvious motive, but we have no actual proof, not to mention how she could gain entry.
Lavash.
That is simply astounding. I've never heard anyone speak so rapidly. It's like she didn't even stop to breathe.
Yeah. It's been a while, but it never fails to leave an impression.
Sholmes, she spoke!
Right you are, old chum. I dare say we have just experienced the Silent Sleuth's ninja power. Breathtaking.
But Kikyo, do you really think she could kill him in one go with those skinny arms?
Quite so. Aunt Kikyo, there must be another suspect hiding beneath this very...
You! Zip it! You know, Kikyo, the murderer must have been a pretty skilled assassin to pull this off. Someone as skilled as, say, you?
What?
Lord Gulliver was stabbed right through to the heart. To deal such a blow with a rusted and neglected knife, such as this one here, would surely take two hands and the full weight of a body behind it. Yet look at this. The silver blade is discolored and there's purple mottling at the base of the neck. Evidence that the blade was coated with some kind of poison. All the murderer had to do was scratch Gulliver's skin, and here, this cut on the victim's leather belt shows that there was at least one missed strike, a derelict weapon, a wasted poison, a needlessly difficult method of killing. In short, this murder was no experienced assassin, but a rank amateur.
Right, not at all your style. I'm sorry for suggesting it. Which leaves us with the wife as the prime suspect after all.
Madam Golddigger, I'm afraid we'll need to take you into custody as a material witness.
You mean, as a suspect? Oh, ridiculous! I didn't do it!
I can understand why you might say that. Madam, I do not enjoy using force. I suggest you come along quietly.
What insight, what acumen, to determine so much from a single knife! It pains me to discount my uncle's work, but there is nothing so impressive as the instincts and deductions of a private investigator. Do you not agree, my good Whitson?
That's all we've learned about Lord Gulliver, sir.
Carry on, then. We need to determine the motive, whether it was monetary or some personal grudge. Next!
Inspector Heinkel, sir. We searched the walls from top to bottom, but found no evidence of any secret passages.
You gave them each a good whack, I trust?
A good what?
I'm asking whether you were thorough enough to give the walls a good hard knock or not.
No, sir.
Then don't say you searched top to bottom. Get some more men and start knocking walls before I knock you one in the head. Leave not a single stone unturned. I want every inch of this fort searched.
Yes, sir.
Uncle, I must say, my deductions have led me to believe that the murderer must have hidden beneath...
Oh, we have work to do, Sholmes. Try not to get in the way, will you? How about you, Edea? Have you noticed anything odd?
I'd say the banker and the landowner both strike me as a bit suspicious.
You think so, Well, what have we found out?
Sir, we did a background check on Mr. Lesser, but found nothing particularly noteworthy. He seemed quite pleased with the prospect of having Lord Gulliver take both the land and the building off his hands. The same for the banker, Mr. Noah Entrust. He stood to gain nothing from Lord Gulliver's untimely death.
Any ties between the two?
None. They say that today was their first time meeting one another.
If those two weren't in cahoots, then this really is a locked room case. We've found no evidence to identify a suspect definitively. But if we consider motive alone...
The one who would benefit most from Lord Gulliver's death would be his wife, who stands to inherit all his massive wealth.
True, but would she really try something so obvious?
So you thought so too. Let's look into her story without any preconceived notions. Listen, men, every shred of evidence we gather brings us one step closer to catching our perp. A formal investigation is painstaking and laborious. But if we're thorough in the task, we will surely bring the culprit to justice.
Yes, sir.
What command! What presence! Now that is what true detective work is all about! Sorry, Aunt Kikyo, but I think the Force is the place for me to lead an investigative team. Oh, surely you agree, my dear Whitson? The poor woman. Material witness or no, to be confined to the very room in which one's husband was brutally murdered.
At least she should be safe, with the room being locked and all.
Keep watch on Madame Golddigger. No one comes up or down these stairs, got it? Sholmes, what do you two intend to do?
We thought to examine this floor in further detail.
By Jove, I think I've got it!
What?
Sorry. I just had the sudden urge to say that.
Ugh. The rest of you come with me. The lower floors need thorough inspection.
Huh? What happened to Kikyo?
Before we knew it, she had dashed off somewhere. Oh, and she left behind this note.
Investigating downstairs. Maybe she has a lead. You're not with Sholmes?
We are fast friends and partners, but even we don't spend all our waking hours together. On a case, we stick to our own specialties and try not to interfere with each other's processes.
Your specialties?
Sholmes tends to rely on instinct and inspiration to make his deductions. I prefer to quietly analyze the details of a crime. I suppose we are both the products of our environments.
You also come from quite the family, huh? No less impressive than Sholmes, at least.
Oh, please, come off that. Sholmes' grandfather was a world-famous detective. Mine was a world-famous detective's aide. Sholmes' father became police commissioner, while mine was never promoted beyond lieutenant. His mother is a best-selling mystery novelist. Mine, a best-selling mystery novelist's assistant. Sholmes comes from a line of brilliant deductive geniuses, while I come from a line of glorified sidekicks. There are no Inspector Heinkels or Silent Sleuth Kikyos among my relatives. Not that I'd expect the heirs to the houses of Lee and Genealogia to understand.
So what are you gonna do once Sholmes figures out his career path?
Who knows? I can only do what I can. Quietly, out of the spotlight.
I see. Sorry to interrupt your investigation.
He's almost like a different person when he's not together with Sholmes.
Oh, Miss Edea.
So, I hear your family is something else, Sholmes.
I wouldn't say that.
Really? Grandfather, a famous private detective? Father, a famous police commissioner? A best-selling mystery novelist for a mother? Not to mention Heinkel and Kikyo. I'd say that's pretty darn impressive.
Perhaps. Unfortunately, I'm far less so. To be honest, it's quite a burden. I had hoped the two of you might understand how I feel. The daughter of the Grand Marshal of Eternia, and the young heir to the illustrious House Genealogia.
Well, you know yourself best. So, what are you gonna do? Planning to enter the Unihana PD? Or is the life of a PI more for you?
They both have their own appeal, of course. Should I join the police, master the art of leading an investigation, and hone my innate leadership skills as I work toward the top? Or should I use the deductive genius I was born with to become a famous PI, solving cases that have baffled ordinary minds the realm over? Miss Edea, which do you think would be a better use of my considerable talents?
Well, when you put it that way... Basically, it comes down to whether you'd rather start your career working for Heinkel or Kikyo, right? I bet whoever you turned down would try and convince you to reconsider. With force.
Do you really think so? Both my aunt and uncle seem frustrated with my aimless nature. I've come to think that they might even be relieved to not have me follow in their footsteps.
You may be less of a self-important spoiled brat than I thought. That's some insight, after all. I guess it does run in the family. My advice would be to just watch carefully how both Heinkel and Kikyo approach their work.
Observation is one of the most fundamental skills for any investigator, to be sure.
Don't give up!
Oh, Edea. I'll not be taking any ridiculous questions about why a knight like myself is now working for some backwater municipal police force.
Heinkel!
Do not worry. I have not betrayed your father's trust, nor have I turned my back on Eternia. My business is mine alone. Further prying will get no more out of me.
Murderer.
I would not object to telling you the tale, but now is not the time. I suggest you desist.
Inspector! You must see this, sir!
Understood. I'm on my way.
Heinkel!
What more can you have to pester me about?
Just, why are you still wearing that? I mean, you don't usually see a crime scene investigator in full plate armor.
Ha! Have you ever seen me in anything else? It'll take more than a job change to get me to lay these aside. Not to mention my great shield.
If you say so.
Sir!
Ah! Can you simpletons go 1 minute without hounding me? What is it this time?
It's Madame Golddigger, sir. She's dead.
What's that you say?
I heard a noise and came running, but she was already cold.
Did she do this herself? A murder-suicide?
A fine mess this has become.
The madam is dead? Oh, say it is not so!
Madam Golddigger as well? But what about the sale?
That's hardly.
Is it true? Lord Gulliver's wife dead as well?
Whitson, quick to the scene, I see.
Ugh, everyone's already here but you, Sholmes.
So, Madame Golddigger is also dead. This is surely a case of murder!
And just why do you think that, Sholmes?
Call it a sixth sense? A flash of insight? A strong hunch? And it tells me now that the murderer is hiding beneath that table! Wait, huh?
Come, Sholmes, even for you, that's a bit... What's that?
A note. I shall follow where you go. Did Madame Golddigger write this?
She killed herself out of grief over the loss of her beloved husband?
No. This was surely planted by the murderer to lead us astray. A personal challenge from the true culprit.
Hang on, where's the challenge in there?
There must be a hidden message. If we look at the first letter of each sentence...
There's only one sentence!
Oh, enough! We start the investigation from the top. Yeah, what a miserable day.
Heinkel, how sure are we that this room is really secure?
We've been over every inch and found not a single hidden passage. It's a sealed chamber if I ever saw one.
Kikyo, you stayed here when you were with the Black Blades, didn't you? How well did you all know the fort?
When I was stationed here as part of the Black Blades covert forces, I knew every hidden pass... passage in this fort. It appears, however, that there have been renovations since then, which could very well mean...
All right, listen up. I want you to go over every square inch of this room with a fine-tooth comb. Leave no stone unturned.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Uncle Heinkel. We'd like to have a word with you.
What is it this time, Sholmes?
I just thought, perhaps we should consult with Mr. Lesser. He is the owner of the fort.
Not bad.
Renovations? I'm afraid any such work would have occurred before I acquired the property.
But you should have records showing the name of the former owner, yes? The one who carried out said renovations?
Yes, I believe I do.
I thought as much. Just as you should have records of the two of us working here. Isn't that so, Whitson?
That's true enough.
I remember it well. We were still students then. It was the best pay we'd ever gotten.
Well, why, yes, it was.
You heard the man. Go to Mr. Lesser's office and bring me the names of everyone involved with the renovation work.
Yes, sir!
Not too shabby, Sholmes. You might have what it takes to pull off an investigation. With careful police work and keen instinct both.
I wonder. In truth, I still can't decide. Am I best suited to the life of an inspector, tirelessly pursuing criminals through steady, thorough investigation? Or am I destined to become a genius detective, using logic and inspiration to track down the most evasive criminal masterminds?
You gotta pick one, huh? Sholmes, I think you should follow in Kikyo's footsteps and become a private detective. There's something to be said for structure and teamwork, but once you start to rely on that structure, that's when you'll get lazy. Work on your own like Kikyo, and you'll have to fend for yourself. You'll be tested to hone your wits and instincts. Do that, and you'll have a bright, crime-solving future ahead of you. I'm sure of it.
Why, yes. When you put it that way, it's elementary. I'll dedicate myself to becoming a great private investigator, just like Aunt Kikyo.
What is this nonsense? A fine pair you make.
Heinkel!
You may come from a great family, but don't let that go to your head, you mewling little upstart. Perhaps you've been caught up in this fool's starry-eyed dreams, but to seriously recommend that my dunce of a nephew become a P.I.? Just the load I'd expect from a know-nothing glutton like you, Edea.
Murgurgur. Heinkel, don't you think you're being a bit harsh?
Shut your mouth, maggot! Persist in this idiocy and you will face me in battle. Are you prepared for that? Fine then, but do not harbor any delusions that you will walk away from this unscathed, Edea. You stand before the Knight Argent Heinkel, former commander of the Eternian Sky Knights, alias the Iron Wall of Unahana, alias the YHPD's hard-boiled Inspector Heinkel. Justice will be served!
I'm not pulling any punches! Here I go! Hut!
keep you safe.
Have I stumbled on the path to justice? Can't believe I lost. You're stronger than you look.
Who are you?
The game is up, Whitson. There's no place for you to run.
What?
You always hated it when I followed my Aunt Kikyo's lead, using my instinct to deduce the truth. That's because you were always afraid that I just might notice something suspicious about you. Like the fact that you observed a certain feature of this fort when we worked here 2 years ago, as well as...
Ha ha ha! Looks like the ruse is up then.
Whoa!
When your biggest dream was to be some glorified flatfoot, I thought I could let it slide. But I knew I'd be in trouble once you started to truly hone your keen intuition.
What have you done with Heinkel?
I don't have to answer to you. If you care so much, find him yourself.
Get back here! A secret passage! So this is how the perpetrator...
So they found the real Heinkel tied up in one of the fort's hidden corridors?
Yeah. I'm just relieved that he wasn't hurt. Sholmes says he was lured out by a false promise of information, then ambushed and taken captive.
But in the end, we still don't know the truth of what happened?
Well, thanks to Inspector Heinkel's investigation, several facts have come to light.
Lord Gulliver's murder was the sole work of Madame Goldigga, who was after his fortune from the beginning. She heard about the hidden corridor from Whitson. Apparently those two have a history together.
She just happened to hear about it?
Whitson mentioned the corridors when Lady Goldigga told him that her husband planned to purchase Starkford. Perhaps he also mentioned how ideally suited it was for staging the perfect murder.
A murder she then decided to carry out.
Whatever he knew or didn't know, Whitson hurried to the crime scene under the pretense of investigating with Sholmes. Then Madame Goldigga misread his intentions, thinking he was there to help her. She tried over and over to get him on her side. In the end, she even tried threatening him, though we'll never be sure with what.
But what about the note we found? I shall follow where you go.
There were quite a few theories flying around about that note, weren't there? The Madam might have written it, or...
The truth seems to be that Lord Gulliver wrote that note himself.
He did?
I guess coming to Starkford and getting caught up in its history sparked the creative urge in him. That note was from a novel he was working on. They found the continuation of it with the rest of his belongings.
Oh, so it was just a red herring.
Forgive me. It's my fault for jumping to conclusions like I did.
Apologizing for a bad hunch? Who are you, and what did you do with the real Sholmes?
I'll take that as a compliment. I've opened my own detective agency right here in Unohana, following in my Aunt Kikyo's footsteps. I've solved a number of cases already. The police have even come to enlist my services as a consulting detective.
Moving up in the world, aren't we?
But wait, I smell a new case brewing.
What? Where?
I just saw Unohana's finest hurrying off in quite the rush. Given their numbers, it must be something big. One of Aunt Kikyo's blades. Go it alone this time, is it? It seems she wants me to handle this case on my own. I'd best get started then.
Huh. He's turned out to be the real deal. Oh! Kikyo!
He always had a good sense for catching the relevant details of a case, but he's also surprisingly good at looking beyond his own preconceived notions. He even comes out with some shocking deductions at times. I don't know if it's true that blood will out, but he just might very well live up to the legacy of our family. I would not be surprised if he ends up even surpassing his grandfather one day, even if he lacks somewhat in the areas of common sense and social graces. Always calling me Dear Aunt Kikyo. I feel obligated to come to every crime scene with a batch of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies.
Sounds to me like you're pretty proud of him.
It seems you chose well, Edea. Everything's working out wonderfully.
Yep. Not bad if I do say so myself. And I'm relieved that I gave Sholmes good advice for his future, too.
Excuse me, can I get a soybean mochi and another cup of strong tea?
Make that 2.
One for me, too! Let's make it 5 sets.
Coming right up!
But there's only 4 of... Oh. for you.
Let's give him all we've got!